Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
We are a nation in decline.
Experts are preparing for what is known as Disease X, or the next pandemic.
What we are seeing is a revolution against the system.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Rise and Grind with VinceTagliavia. I'm your host, VinceTagliavia, live with you every Monday through Friday at 8:30 a.m. Pacific Time, 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time, to discuss the news and events of the day, get things rolling for the day. Today is February 7th, 2024, Hump Day. What we do here is we just go over the news, we do our best to digest what's out there, and start figuring out the truth. In a day and age where the mainstream media is completely corrupt and propaganda is running rampant, this is something we do in order to stay on top of the truth and know what's going on. So that's all this is. We go over the news here. So welcome, one and all. Hope you're all doing well today, and we're gonna get right into things. I like to start with a little bit of finance here. Markets have been open for a couple hours. It's nice to see where we stand. Stocks rally, and the S&P 500 hurdles towards the 5,000 mark. It just keeps going up, 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 and up. Yeah, there are horrible days. There are bad stock performers out there, but they're keeping the ball rolling, that's for sure. The S&P 500 is up 0.67%. NASDAQ is up 0.7%. Gold is $2,055 today. Silver's $22.50. Bitcoin still sitting at 43,000, just over 43,000. Good googly moogly. We got another blockbuster jobs report. Yeah, right. Peter Staunch put out a nice video explaining all this. Let's go ahead and listen to that video here.
A couple days ago, we got what Zero Hedge called the most ridiculous jobs report in recent history. On the surface, it was a blockbuster, and as with pretty much all jobs reports nowadays, it was a clown show on the inside. So first, the blockbuster. The Bureau of Labor Statistics, whose in-house statisticians are among the most creative your tax dollars pay, reported that the U.S. unexpectedly added 353,000 jobs last month. That was double the Wall Street consensus, meaning either Wall Street really sucks at estimating jobs, or Joe Biden's statisticians are just that good. The numbers were stellar across the board, with unemployment holding steady and average hourly earnings spiking by 4.5%, also way beyond predictions. At which point, we pull away the curtain. Start with that amazing job growth. It turns out it isn't real. It was magicked up by BLS statisticians slashing the work week. Now, if you pretend there's fewer hours, the pay per hour magically jumps. Not because people were paid more, but because you assumed, with no evidence, the work week down. In fact, they slashed it all the way down to 34.1 hours, note 40 is full-time. Outside COVID lockdowns, that is a number we have not seen since the depths of the 2008 crisis. In other words, the only way wages are stellar are if you assume that hours are being cut to 2008 crisis territory. Why would you do that? Two reasons. Either we are actually in the depths of a 2008 crisis, blockbuster or no, or you need some extra budget from the White House and told your statisticians to get extra creative. Worse is the jobs themselves. In short, they're not real, according to now a parade of data series. In a recent video, I mentioned the Census Household Survey, which actually asks people if they're working, and that suggests that roughly half the BLS jobs are fake. In fact, according to Census, last month we didn't get a blockbuster 353,000 jobs, we actually lost 31,000. Second, data on part-time work suggests that actually we created precisely zero full-time jobs last year. What jobs we got were DoorDash and second jobs because people cannot make ends meet. Third, yet other data, this time by the Wall Street Journal, says the few full-time jobs that were created last year were mostly government and social assistance. Things like using taxpayer billions for illegals. Note, if we had 0 net full-time jobs, yet half of what was created was government, then the private sector actually shrunk a lot. Note, the private sector is the sector that actually creates things. The government does not create. So if private is shrinking, we are getting poorer as a country. And finally, speaking of illegals, new data says the US economy has created literally 0 jobs for native-born workers since 2018. All of the job growth has been foreign-born. So how can the numbers be so far off, you ask? One word: seasonal adjustment. In fact, comparing raw data to the BLS seasonal adjustment, there's literally a 3 million job difference. Now, seasonal adjustment is legit, say Christmas-time warehouse workers or summertime fruit pickers, but 3 million in statistical adjustment leaves a whole lot of room to do friends for your favors at the White House. So what's next? Brought to you by Unchained.com, the two most important...
I think he meant favors for your friends. Yeah, Unchained.com is his website. He'll plug there. If you like Stange's reports, you could check him out. And holy moly, what a great breakdown of the scam of the numbers coming out and the statistician's ability to manipulate those numbers just to feed talking points and good headlines out and to pump that market. Keep those traders trading. Don't let them panic. Keep everything green. Everything's fine. Nobody see the truth, right? That's kind of how I look at it. Wow. Yeah, they say jobs are soaring, but man, what a scam. You could find the false information in every domain of information that comes out. Finance, political, U.S. news, political news, everything, world news. It's all just manipulated. It's crazy. What a crazy day and age. I mean, I think it's probably always been that way to a point, but man, is it ramping up. Yep. Fake jobs. Man. GR Dector pointed this out. Quote, the U.S. consumer is strong. Is this really true? Genevieve asks. The Federal Reserve Bank of New York released a report this morning. It says, quote, credit card and auto loan transitions into delinquency are still rising above pre-pandemic levels. This signals increased financial stress, especially among younger and lower income households. Right, not a good sign. Credit card debt is soaring. We've known this. It says here, credit card debt and serious delinquency jumped 59% year over year in quarter 4. This is the opposite of strong. Yeah, the U.S. consumer is strong. Meanwhile, the debt is just skyrocketing. Holy moly. And there's no end in sight yet, is there? No siree. And then we have Moody's downgrading a bank. They downgrade New York Community Bank Corp, NYCB, to a junk status. Genevieve reported on this, writing, NYCB is the parent company of Flagstar Bank, one of the largest regional banks in the country. NYCB stock is down 60% since they announced plans to cut the dividend and stockpile reserves for troubled commercial real estate loans. There it is, those pesky commercial real estate loans. Jerome Powell said yesterday commercial real estate is a sizable problem. About 14% commercial real estate loans and 44% of office building loans are in negative equity, meaning the debt is now greater than the property value. Banks could lose $160 billion from commercial real estate, which makes up about 1/4 of the average lender's assets. Small banks will suffer the most. Big banks will win. Just that classic transfer of wealth over to the rich from the poor, or from the rich to the rich, making the rich richer and the rich poorer. I don't know. It's making the rich richer and the poor poorer, is what I'm trying to say. And then in China, they've got their banking issues. Natural News reported that China's central bank attempting to spark growth in 2024 by slashing banks' reserve requirements. Wow. Last year was a lackluster year for China's economy, they write. So China's central bank, the People's Bank of China, is slashing the reserve requirements for banks in an effort to spark the appearance of economic growth in 2024. With lower reserve requirements, Chinese banks will be able to boost lending to households and businesses, which the People's Bank of China hopes will curb the nation's stock market sell-off while improving the broader economy. Starting on February 5th, the new lowered reserve requirements will take effect. This is expected to free up around 1 trillion Chinese yuan, the equivalent of around $139 billion, which can then be funneled into new loans. Really, they're just digging the hole deeper, and this is how I kind of see it. Am I right on that? Any really smart people out there agree with me? Oh man, let's take a second here. Good morning, Quiet Toad. Hope you're doing well. Thank you, Lisa, for the 4 ice cream donation there. I appreciate it. Man, good morning. Good morning, Forrest, Black Jester, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Half the world is night. Hope you got your coffee. Good morning to you. We're going to keep on just forging forward here. We have another show coming to X. Despite all this horrible stuff going on, Elon Musk seems to be getting by quite all right, even though I feel like he's targeted. And I don't necessarily trust the guy. As a matter of fact, he kind of scared me with his post about carbon. He says we need to tax carbon. I think that he has his own globalist aligned ideas, and just look at his companies. I mean, you've got AI, you've got Neuralink, the brain chip, you've got Tesla, the environmental friendly vehicle that everybody loves. It's just concerning. And then his carbon tax thing, but he's got another show coming to X. Jim Rome just announced that he's going to bring his talk show, The Jungle, onto the X platform. The show will no longer run on CBS Sports Network after this week. Jim Rome, I don't know who this is. Apparently he's a CBS guy doing sports, and he's coming to X, and this is great for X. Elon and Jim are going to make a ton, and if Jim has a team, a ton of, I'm sure he does, a ton of ad revenue and whatnot. So it's a win for them, and a win for X, and a win for free speech, although people are debating that. Hello, 1-1. Good morning to you, and thank you, Forrest, for the donation. I appreciate that. Thank you. So yeah, more people coming to X, and X is, I will say, as far as things Elon's doing, X is probably the best thing, although I don't think it's perfect by any means. I'm just wary. Been lied to so much. I don't know who to trust. The truth still is hard to make come out. Here we have a Chinese dissident artist, A Weiwei, says something here. Let's listen to what he says. And man, this is kind of scary.
Are you worried that the West itself is starting to clamp down on the freedom of expression of artists, writers, intellectuals?
Yes, I have been under this condition also my father's generation as a writer. He was exiled, and I grew up in this heavy political censorship. But I realize now today in the West, you're doing exactly the same, sometimes even more ridiculous. If I just heard say 2 NYU professors, they just give some opinions. It's kind of like private talk. Then they have to be fired. And this is really like a culture revolution, which is really trying to destroy anybody who have a different attitude, not even clearly opinion. So I think this is such a pity happened in the West so broadly in universities, in media, in the in every location, universities or political sector, everywhere you cannot talk about the truth.
Isn't that true? Seriously, it's everyone would talk about, oh, it's going to be like China. Can you imagine? It's going to be like China. That's impossible. That's a conspiracy theory. China's crazy. But here we are in the midst of it. Still, not even some people aren't even aware of it. They're just in wonderland and happy as a clam, starting to notice some strange things like, hey, why am I completely broke? But other than that, I mean, there's still people sound asleep. We're not like China. Lisa, thank you for reminding me. Joe Rogan's coming to X and YouTube. He signed a new deal with Spotify, $250 million contract, opening up his opportunities away from Spotify, actually, which is interesting. So I didn't know he was going to be on X as well. I heard YouTube, but that'll be good. I honestly have not been tuning into Joe Rogan. I think I watched one of them, but I haven't been listening to his interviews because since he moved over to Spotify, it's just I don't use Spotify. So this is going to open up his audience hugely, which he does really great content for the most part, I would say, largely. So that's something to look forward to there. Another win for X and Joe Rogan, 250 million. Wow. All right. I wonder, is that a year-long contract? I wonder how long that is. Maybe a couple years. I don't remember. All right. In other news, still on Elon Musk for some reason today. Canceled Hollywood star Gina Carano teams up with Elon Musk to sue Lucasfilm and Disney for discrimination and wrongful termination. It's so funny that Elon Musk is teaming up with people to perform these lawsuits. Here it says from the Gateway Pundit, canceled Hollywood star Gina Carano, the actress known for her role in the Disney Plus Star Wars show, The Mandalorian, has filed a lawsuit against the Walt Disney Corporation and Lucasfilm. The lawsuit, lodged in federal court in California this Tuesday, alleges that Serrano, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing her name wrong, I don't know these people. I remember this story, though. Serrano was unjustly dismissed from her role as the rebel warrior Cara Dune due to her expressive of right-wing opinions on social media platforms. Exactly what we just talked about China does, right? And I think a lot of us, maybe even you listening, maybe myself included, have been targeted for this kind of thing. Whether it's not wearing a mask when you're supposed to, or not taking medicine when you're supposed to, or medicine, right? All these things have affected people, and a lot of people have lost jobs over it, and it's horrible. It says here, quote, a short time ago in a galaxy not so far away, defendants made it clear that only one orthodoxy in thought, speech, or action was acceptable in their empire, and that those who dared to question or failed to fully comply would not be tolerated, the lawsuit says. And so it was with Serrano. It really says that. They went into that is so funny. Serrano is seeking justice through a court mandate for either reinstatement in the series or compensation amounting to at least $75,000. The actress claims the firing has not only caused her emotional turmoil, but also resulted in the loss of millions in potential income. This action follows her 2021 dismissal, which Lucasfilm attributed to social media posts by Serrano that they described as denigrating people based on their cultural and religious identities, a claim firmly rejected by Serrano. The actress has been an outspoken conservative voice in Hollywood, a stance that she believes led to her being unfairly targeted, while her co-star, Pedro Pascal, known for his liberal views, faced no repercussions for similar actions. Quote, Jews were beaten in the streets, not by Nazi soldiers, but by their neighbors, even by children, because history is edited. Most people today don't realize that to get to the point where Nazi soldiers can easily round up thousands of Jews, the government first made their own neighbors hate them simply for being Jews. How is that any different from hating someone on their political views? Gina Serrano said in the caption of her Instagram post. Pascal's since deleted posts, which also used Nazi analogies to criticize former President Trump, did not result in any public disciplinary action by Lucasfilm. Interesting, huh? Rules for thee, but not for me. You're being critical about the wrong thing. Yeah, this is political. This is BS. Hopefully she wins her lawsuit. I think that would be the right thing to happen. And interestingly, this story comes out. An anonymous source just sent this to me from Disney. It is mandatory, institutionalized racism and sexism. This is what Elon Musk said on X yesterday. An interesting post here, and it's the whole DEI nonsense going around on all these companies. Disney General Entertainment content inclusion standards were sent to Elon Musk. A standard on screen representation. They talk about race and all this stuff. It's just crazy. Characters, 50% or more of regular or and reoccurring written characters come from underrepresented groups. Actors, 50% or more regular and recurring actors come from underrepresented groups. Secondary characters, meaningful inclusion of underrepresented groups. Series premise, meaningful integration of underrepresented groups and overall themes and narratives. Episodic storytelling, ongoing meaningful integration of underrepresented groups and episodic themes and narratives. So not only are they making sure like, hey, we need to not hire white people and make sure we have diversity and inclusion and DEI standards implemented, but also make the theme all about race and whatnot and include that in the story. That's really great. I think this is part of this brainwashing of getting people to, pitting person against person, human against human, brother against brother. Have a little bit of infighting, distractions. And they go on and on and on these standards of these DEI standards. So weird, man. So weird. Libs of TikTok commented, Elon, can you buy Disney and fix it? And Elon Musk put the thinking emoji. That would be funny. That would be hilarious. I don't think it would fix everything. Like I said, I'm skeptical on Elon Musk. Maybe it would be better, but I don't think it would be 100% great. All right, let's talk about elections. We've got issues, folks. We have got big issues. Half the world this night says, I just don't trust Elon. How about meritocracy? Hire whoever's the most qualified. Yeah, I know. I hear you. And I hear you. Disney is selling crap like it's silk. Yeah, they are not producing great content, are they? Forrest wants to see Disney sued into oblivion. Yeah, I think it's going to happen. I mean, you look at laws, you're not supposed to discriminate, right? Based on anything. And that's just referencing the DEI situation. That is not going to end well for a lot of these companies. Once law and order is restored, there's going to be a price to pay for all of the shenanigans going on that's being swept under the rug right now. So, yikes. There might not be consequences now, but man, karma works in mysterious ways and it'll come back around. It will come back around. All right. Here we have a video in 4 minutes of testimony before Congress. Molly Hemingway sums up everything wrong with America's elections, from the mail-in ballots to Zuckerbucks to censorship, big tech censorship, and Democrats trying to put them in jail. This is crazy. Before Congress, it's all laid out there, but no, the elections were the most secure thing we've ever had. We continue to see interference here and just shenanigans in the political forum. Breaking report, Chuck Callisto has reported on, I don't want to watch that whole video. I'm sorry. I'm going to just move forward here. Chuck Callisto writes that the Kremlin says Putin agreed to interview with Tucker Carlson because he differs from traditional Anglo-Saxon media. Quote, he has a position that differs from the rest of Western media. It's not pro-Russian by any means, and it's not pro-Ukrainian. Rather, it's pro-American, but at least it stands in clear contrast to the position of the traditional Anglo-Saxon media. We receive numerous requests for interviews with the president, but mostly, as far as countries in the collective West are concerned, these are from major network medias, traditional TV channels, and large newspapers that don't even attempt to appear impartial in their coverage. Of course, there's no desire to communicate with this kind of media, so that is why they have accepted the interview with Tucker. And of course, Zelensky said he would be upset if there was a Tucker Putin interview. Why is everybody going to be upset about this? If Tucker's such a bad guy, I mean, not Tucker. If Putin is such a bad guy, an interview, that's going to shed some light on his lies, right? Because if he's a bad guy, he's going to lie. I'm not saying he's a good guy, by the way. Putin's done bad things. But if Putin is the villain in modern day that everybody's talking about, if he's the villain that everyone talks about, then a lie would be easy to debunk in an interview. I mean, why not make Putin make a fool of himself? Red flags. So that interview, I believe, comes out Thursday night. So we look forward to that tomorrow. I believe that's the case. And then people are saying Tucker's pro-Russian. He's pro-Russian without a doubt. No, he's not. He's pro-American. He is America first. I guarantee it. The EU is considering sanctions against Tucker Carlson for interviewing Putin. Huh. Candace Owens reported this. She writes, this is little more than the admission that they have been lying about everything regarding Ukraine. The narrative is about to fully collapse, and they are terrified. God bless Tucker and free speech. Oof. The EU is considering sanctions for performing the First Amendment rights. Holy guacamole. No way. Let's watch this.
And yet the populations of the English-speaking countries seem mostly unaware. They think that nothing has really changed. And they think that because no one has told them the truth. Their media outlets are corrupt. They lie to their readers and viewers. And they do that mostly by omission. For example, since the day the war in Ukraine began, American media outlets have spoken to scores of people from Ukraine, and they've done scores of interviews with Ukrainian President Zelensky. We ourselves have put in a request for an interview with Zelensky, and we hope he accepts. But the interviews he's already done in the United States are not traditional interviews. They are fawning pep sessions specifically designed to amplify Zelensky's demand that the U.S. enter more deeply into a war in Eastern Europe and pay for it. That is not journalism. It is government propaganda.
Right.
Propaganda of the ugliest kind, the kind that kills people. Americans have a right to know all they can about a war they're implicated in. And we have the right to tell them about it because we are Americans too. Freedom of speech is our birthright. We were born with the right to say what we believe. That right cannot be taken away no matter who is in the White House.
Simply put from Tucker the other day when he explained why he was interviewing Vladimir Putin. So, wow, I can't wait. It's going to be a big, big thing. I mean, you're talking huge, as Trump would say, huge. It's huge. It's the biggest interview the world will ever see. All right, onward. What else have we got here? Senate to vote on funding for Israel and Ukraine as immigration deal set to go down in flames. We have a video here. The Senate border bill is going to die. I'm not going to watch this video, but what they're saying is, yeah, they're going to get something passed some way, somehow, probably break it apart, get this funding through. That's basically what they're saying is that it failed. It was an utter failure, but that they're going to get it. They're going back to the drawing table and they're going to get it. Breaking news out of California, horrible story. I mean, with the increase of training and activity, we're seeing an increase in these accidents. It's reported on Newsweek that a U.S. military helicopter is missing with 5 Marines on board. It says here, First responders in California are searching for a U.S. Marine Corps helicopter that went missing overnight with 5 crew on board. The helicopter, a CH-53E Super Stallion, departed from Creech Air Force Base near Las Vegas and was supposed to arrive at Marine Corps Air Station Miramar Tuesday night, but was reported overdue after not turning up. The Marine Corps confirmed in a statement that 5 of its personnel are missing from Marine Heavy Helicopter Squadron 361, which forms part of the 3rd Maritime Aircraft Wing. The Marines reached out to the San Diego County Sheriff's Department and Civil Air Patrol to help with the search. The Sheriff's Department said it dispatched a helicopter to help search after being informed about the incident at 1:50 a.m., but it had been unable to reach the area due to bad weather. It has also sent out off-road vehicles to support the search. Man, just so messed up. And we've seen many accidents recently and last year as well. On November 29th, the U.S. military Osprey crashed off the coast of Japan's Yukushima Island, killing 8 service members. In response, the aircraft was temporarily pulled out of service, causing the Air Force, Navy, and Marine Corps to ground their roughly 400 Ospreys. Oh, such a sad, sad situation. Horrible to hear. Authorities, yeah, so the same story there. They're still searching, as far as I know. Oh my gosh, the number of illegals coming across the border is more than it's ever been. CBP has tracked over 1 million illegal border encounters since October, 100,000 more than the same period last year, per Fox. And of course, this will be Joe Biden's legacy, as Planet of Memes posted here with the migrant who attacked the officers in New York and then proceeded to be released without bail, flipping off the media. This will be Joe Biden's legacy, they say. Absolutely. 100,000 more than the same period last year. It's just ramping up. 1 million border encounters since October. Jeez. I mean, the U.S. population is not that much. So, I mean, what's the population? 334 million in 2023. 334 million in 2023. Our cities cannot handle this, clearly. Let's listen to a clip from Joe Rogan's podcast and hear what he has to say. He seems to have a pretty logical reasoning in all this, and I appreciate that. Let's hear.
Where the fuck did we come up with $100 and whatever billion to send to Ukraine, and we don't have any money to try to do something about these insanely impoverished, crime-ridden, gang-ridden, drug-ridden communities? We don't do anything? We have nothing? I mean, this is my take on this whole Make America Great Again thing. You want to make America great again? Make it so there's less losers. Make it so that more people have a fucking chance. The idea that everyone starts on the same line, I mean, I'm not talking about equality of outcome. That's not possible. But equality of opportunity is possible. That's a possible goal. And at least we could advance that. At least we could do something to, just change the course of who knows how many people's lives. And we don't do a fucking thing about it.
I mean, we're looking at each other because we just had lunch before we came. It's like the precise conversation that we had.
Yep. Less losers, please. Why not? Man, and thank you. I want to say thank you to Magarod over on X for sharing that. Just spot on. Or actually, I'm sorry. Did he? It may have been. I actually don't recall. I think it may have been. Anyway, onward. Biden says the only reason the border isn't secure is because Donald Trump helped kill an immigration bill. Yeah, of course. Liar. They got to put those talking points out there, those headlines, so that people can parrot that fake news. Onward. The International Union of Police Associations has endorsed former President Trump. Yay! This was awesome. I was so happy to see this. Of course, the law and order president is being backed up by the Union of Police Associations. They've said President Trump's history of support for the men and women of law enforcement is unmatched. Yes, indeed. So, Trump 2024 coming soon. Onward here. Political organizer and former president of City Council of Atlantic City is charged with fraudulent, I think, ballot harvesting, or let me see, fraudulent mail-in ballots. Yeah. Ex-Atlantic City Council president charged in voter fraud scheme. Hey, wait a minute. I thought this was the most secure election ever. Come on. And we've seen this happen over and over and over and over again. But here's just another one, folks. Holy moly. Luckily, there is a little bit of justice being served. Maybe that'll help in this upcoming election. I mean, we need law and order to prevent these crimes from happening. I mean, a little bit of law and order is going to go a long way. But if these people know they could get away with it, they're going to keep cheating and lying and breaking the law and stealing elections. But we'll see what happens. It's going to be a wild ride. I'm looking forward to it, but man, I hope it goes well. This is pretty funny. The winner of the Nevada Republican primary election is literally none of these candidates. In kind of a protest vote. Trump wasn't on this one, but I think next week they're holding another vote of some kind. I'm not sure exactly the process here. It's just something I was reading. But out of Nikki Haley, Mike Pence, and Tim Scott, 61.4% voted none of these candidates. Absolutely hilarious. With Nikki Haley with 32.2% next in line, but 61.4% none of these candidates. So hilarious. Donald Trump wasn't on there. It says here that Donald Trump was not on the ballot because he is set to compete in party-run caucuses on Thursday. He is on path to claim all of Nevada's 26 delegates. We are now 271 days out from the presidential election. It might be 270 now. Interesting. Hilarious. Onward. I wanted to read this about California and their mega drought. Mega drought update by whatsupwiththat.com. And I really don't like this website. They're very much, I don't know. I'm not fully on board yet. But I wanted to talk about California because they just had this storm. It was a storm. I don't know why I'm doing quotes. It definitely was a storm. What do they call it? A bomb cyclone. And they have other names. Atmospheric river. And it's been a historical storm for California. Putting concern out there, by the way, of earthquake danger in California, not to like panic people, but make sure you have emergency supplies and such. I mean, many people probably are realizing now that there's flooding everywhere and landslides, and routes are being having to be changed for typical travels. That they need food at home, they need water at home, they need first aid at home, etc., etc. So you guys make sure you've got some emergency supplies. Not just Californians, everyone. I don't care where you are in the world. Have something. You got to have something. I mean, just in case you have to stay home and hunker down for whatever reason it might be. Climate lockdowns, pandemics, storms, who knows? Earthquakes. Just prepare a bit. And I know it's easier said than done, and times are tight, and but you got to put forward your best effort. Anyway, it says here, Pacific storms have been crashing into the West Coast, and another is drenching them this evening. This is from the other day. This will likely cause some mudslides, but nothing like the terrible floods of 1862, which shut down Sacramento. Amazing floods struck California back then. The people in charge of maintaining California's infrastructure have to take the responsibility of such a storm into account when planning, at the same time as taxpayers don't want to pay for levees and dams and culverts and spillways necessary to handle what was, after all, a once every 1,000 year event. The attitude seems to be, we still have 838 years to go before it happens again. Let those future taxpayers deal with it. However, the people in charge know weather doesn't obey man's logic. In 1969, I saw 2 once every 100-year storms hit New England in February, and in 1978 it happened again. In any case, the people in charge, who will bear the blame if things go wrong, in California, call the worst-case scenario of a repeat of 1862 the arc storm and confess that despite all the technical advancements of modern science, they cannot prevent major flooding from occurring. And we have seen major flooding. I suspect that there are some who hope to profit from increasing the public's awareness of the possibility of an arc storm. For example, the man who sells really big culverts. Oh my gosh, this is so stupid. But yeah, they talk about drought and water levels and California. Let's see. There's almost no drought to be seen in California. What happened? Did the entire population rush out and buy electric cars? No. California weather just did what California weather is notorious for doing, which is to fluctuate between floods and droughts. No big deal. It is something people learn to live with. It is something described by Steinbeck in Grapes of Wrath to a god unknown. It is old news. Yet if you bring up this old news, the politically correct get offended that you are daring to defy their new news. But their new news is balderdash. Where is the mega drought? They were so crazed and with worry about a year ago. Yeah, so before this storm, California's aquifers were doing pretty good. Most of them about 75% full or more, and all their lakes and whatnot. With this storm, I'm pretty sure they're probably close to topped off if they're collecting the water. I know a lot of this water just gets drained right back into the ocean. And they say, well, that's because, the ground, it's all dry and stuff, and the water won't seep in and stick around. It's like, well, you guys don't have to be releasing your water into the ocean that you have dammed up and stuff. I think there's a little bit of weird stuff going on. But yeah, California is going to have water for a while, which is great. Although that storm really was something, I will say. Anyway. Half the World This Night says some people who don't have extra money for food have been hitting up the food banks for non-perishable goods. Good idea. If you're very low on funds, you can build your prepper food bank that way. It's one way. Sure. Absolutely. NATO chief says it's vital for the U.S. to agree to continue Ukraine's support. Of course it is, because, that's the only way this progresses. But they will not let up on our water bill, Elisa says. Yeah, huh? Isn't that interesting? So much water, no drought, but the water is really expensive. An interesting story that I saw yesterday. Former Chilean president dies in a helicopter crash. And this is wild to me. Former Chilean President Sebastián Piñera died Tuesday in a helicopter crash. He was 74. He was president of the South American country from 2010 to 2014 and from 2018 to 2022. Maybe it's just a freak accident, but this stuff always makes me think. Chile Interior Minister Carolina Toja confirmed the president's death. No immediate details were released regarding the cause of the helicopter crash. Buenos Aires Herald reports, quote, former Chilean President Sebastián Piñera died in a helicopter crash on Tuesday afternoon in the southern region of Los Rios, according to government sources cited by local news outlet La Tercera. Chile's national disaster agency CENAPRAD confirmed that a helicopter crash had occurred in the southern town of Lago Ronco and that one person had been killed and 3 people injured. According to La Tercera, there were 4 people on board the helicopter when it crashed, and 3 had been found by first responders. I don't know. Is anybody digging on this? I mean, what is there a reason why this may have happened? Is this just a freak accident? I don't have the answers to these questions, but it makes me think. I'll do a little digging around and see what people are saying, people who know more about this fellow. You have to watch food banks. People donate expired canned goods, Army Ranger says. That is true. They're not supposed to accept those things, but I'm sure things slip through the cracks. And personally, I think it does compromise the flavor a bit and whatnot, but some things last a lot longer than those dates. A lot of people say, those rebels out there who eat expired food, me among them, it is what it is. It doesn't bother me much, depending on what it is. But like, I have peanut butter that's years old, and I might break into it. It's organic peanut butter. I mean, is that bad? Let me know. Is that bad? I have I don't know, 3-year-old peanut butter. I just haven't been able to eat that much peanut butter and rotate it. Some things that you're storing, you should rotate if you're able. I don't eat a lot of peanut butter. I just don't. But if you're able to rotate your food storage, and eat the old stuff and then store the new stuff, that's a good way to do it. Unfortunately, I don't eat a lot of the stuff I store, and which is a horrible, horrible strategy for emergency supply, by the way. You don't want to have food that you're not wanting to eat. Although peanut butter is delicious, I won't mind eating it, but I just don't. I don't eat it very often. And if I do, it's definitely not that fake sugar peanut butter out there. It's that really bland, peanutty peanut butter. That's real peanut butter with the oil on it. Anyway, make sure you get good food, not just food, right? You could survive off garbage, but you'll be miserable in the case where you have to rely on that stuff. Some good tips there in the chat. Thank you all. Army Ranger says, unfortunately, where I live, they don't check that. We have Amish stores, and most of the canned goods and coffee are expired. Whoa, that's pretty wild. Although the Amish know what you can and can't eat. Yeah. I don't know if they're involved in that, but that's interesting. I mean, that's not good. The CDC's warning of alarming increase in syphilis cases in the U.S. Syphilis, especially among women and infants. A lot of people attribute all these increases in diseases and whatnot to the pokey, the old jab. And here we go. Syphilis caused by the bacterium Treponema pallidum is a sexually transmitted infection that initially manifests as a painless ulcer. Untreated, syphilis can lead to severe complications if it spreads to other parts of the body like the brain or nervous system. Ooh. According to the report, the number of syphilis cases reported in women witnessed a significant 19.5% increase in 2022. Out of 59,016 cases reported nationwide, 14,652 cases were diagnosed in women, presenting roughly 25% of the total cases. This marks a significant uptick from 2018, when only 14% of syphilis cases were reported in women. So a 100% increase. And this is across the board with every disease you can imagine. Good morning, Chris Large. Good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. I'm looking forward to your next video out there. If you guys aren't following Chris Large, go follow Chris Large over on YouTube and Rumble and everywhere you can. Good videos from across the pond. Onward here. Does your diet affect your brain? 100%. Yes, it does. Your diet affects your brain. And this was a post put out by a good old person on Twitter, Jane Potvin. And I appreciate this video, and I want to talk a little bit about it. But first, let's just watch it and hear what the video says.
Finally, Professor Batterham wants to know if eating a high ultra-processed food diet has affected my brain. We've repeated the scan from a month ago to compare the results.
Blue is how areas of your brain talk to each other before the diet. And the red are the new functional connections in your brain after 4 weeks on the diet. So everything that's red is a new connection between parts of your brain that wasn't there before.
Comparing these scans has revealed that my diet has linked up the reward centers of my brain with the areas that drive repetitive automatic behavior. So eating ultra-processed food has become something my brain simply tells me to do without me even wanting it. Shockingly, this is something you might see in a person with addiction.
If you just
Yes, processed foods are highly addictive. It's sugar, it's carbs, it's physiology, it's science. It's absolutely mind-boggling to me. And man, yeah, in my experience, I have this happen to me when, like, over the holidays when I was eating terribly, or while eating freely, right? Or I was enjoying my meals, let's say that, eating pies and candies and chocolates and blah blah blah, all the good stuff, right? Well, prior to that, I wasn't eating any of that processed food or any of the high carb foods and high sugar foods. As a matter of fact, I wasn't eating any sugar at all, and like very low carb diet for the most part. And when I began eating garbage food again, I became addicted to it very quickly. And I'd find myself like hungry all the time, okay, wanting to just eat bullshit all day long. And I would get up and go to the kitchen and then be like in the cabinet, right? Or in the pantry or open the fridge. And I'm just like standing there, and you come to like, you wake up, and I would wake up and I'd be like, what am I doing, right? What am I looking for? What's going on? And I'm like, I'm hungry. And it took me a while to basically force myself to wean off of that high carb and high sugar diet. And once you do that, those cravings go away and you basically rewire yourself. But yeah, it's an addiction. It's an addiction. And it's fascinating that we have these automatic things. It's an automatic action. Go get food. Blows my mind. Absolutely blows my mind. Trips me out, man. But yeah, eating healthy is very important, everybody. Make sure you're considering these things. Consider them. Be aware. Don't run on autopilot. That's kind of what I think of when they say it rewires your brain. It is an autopilot thing, and it's tough to break. It says here, half the world is night. The cytotoxins they put in to get us addicted to it. Read Kevin Trudeau's book, Natural Cures They Don't Want You to Know About. Ooh, Kevin Trudeau, Natural Cures. That is right up my alley. Let me put that in my notes so I can revisit that. Natural Cures. I love it. And nothing's better than having a book either, by the way, because it's offline. You could read it if the power's out, etc. So thank you so much. Half the world is night. Natural Cures. I appreciate that. Talking about diet and the brain, there's a new weight loss drug and it's performing so well. I saw this article by the Associated Press and I was like, oh, a weight loss diabetes drug. I want to see what they're saying about this. This whole long article is all about how great and better than expected the forecast for 2024 is, and they can't even keep up with the production. Oh, it's so wonderful. So big numbers. Sales jumped 65% to 2.21 billion in the fourth quarter compared to the third quarter. Blah, blah, blah. They go on all about these numbers and how wonderful this is. They can't even keep up with production. Eli Lilly, diabetes drug. I wanted to learn more about this drug and kind of just live here real quick. What is this drug? And because we've seen these stories about weight loss drugs, Eli Lilly settles Minnesota lawsuit over insulin pricing. Interesting. I thought Trump fixed insulin pricing. The settlement filed on Wednesday in a New Jersey federal court calls for Lilly to offer Minnesota customers without insurance who pay for its insulin drug out of pocket the option to pay no more than $35 a month for them. Anyway, sorry. I just wanted to see what that was real quick. What is their drug? Does anybody know the name of it? Glucagon, insulin, epagliflozin, tirzepatide, and dulaglutide. So I know that USDA approves Eli Lilly's treatment for type 2 diabetes. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration said Friday, this is May 13th, 2022, the drug tirzepatide. And most diseases, or many diseases that we see, come from this high insulin situation in our bodies, which is high sugar, high carbohydrates, low activity, continuous spikes in that insulin and blood sugar, like eating constantly throughout the day, for instance. And a lot of doctors are coming out, and people who study this, and they're saying, a little bit of, fasting for 12 hours a day can help your body kind of regulate and help with your system. But these drugs scare the living. They scare me, man, because I don't think they actually are good. It says here, tirzepatide side effects on drugs.com. Warning, risk of thyroid, C-cell tumorsin, both male and female rats. Tirzepatide causes dose-dependent and treatment duration-dependent thyroid C-cell tumors at clinically relevant exposures. It is unknown whether tirzepatide causes thyroid C-cell tumors, including medullary thyroid carcinoma in humans, as human relevance of the drug-induced rodent thyroid C-cell tumors has not been determined. They say it could cause stomach pain. Less commonly, you might have difficulty breathing, swallowing, a fast heartbeat, gaseous stomach pain, heartburn, recurrent fever, skin itching, rash and redness, stomach fullness, swelling in the face, throat and tongue, vomiting, yellow eyes and skin. And they don't know if you'll get anxious or bloat or get blurred vision or change in vision or changes in behavior or chest tightness or chills, cold sweats, coma, confusion, constipation, cool, pale skin, cough, dark urine, depression, dizziness, fast heartbeat, fever, increased hunger, indigestion. So they don't know if you'll get those things, and the list goes on. They don't know if you'll get that stuff, but they do know that you will have these less common ones eventually, possibly. No, not Ozempic. This is tirzepatide. But yeah, I think Ozempic is the kind of similar thing where it messes with your insulin in some way. This is insane too, that they're like, we don't know if it'll increase your hunger. What is wrong with this drug if it increases your hunger? It's just making the problem worse. So you take this drug, it does something to your balances of your insulin and whatnot, in some way. And I don't think it's in a good way either. I think this makes the problem worse, but I'm just a layman. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I mean, read the studies for yourself, talk to your doctor if you're looking at any of this stuff, but this is just my opinion, and kind of my initial thoughts and my reaction to this thing. It makes you hungrier. So you're telling me you're going to spike your insulin even more after you take this. Actually, they say that these are unknown incidents, not known. So they have not seen that happen. But I'm saying if that was the case, that would be ridiculous. And I could see like something like that happening in Wonderland. Other side effects, acid or sour stomach, belching, constipation, diarrhea. Less commonly, you get bleeding, blistering, burning, coldness, discoloration of skin, feeling of pressure, hives, infection, inflammation, itching, lumps, numbness, pain, rash, redness, scarring, soreness, stinging, swelling, tenderness, tingling, ulceration, or warmth at the injection site. Crazy. The most common adverse reactions reported in 5% of patients or greater treated with this drug included nausea, diarrhea, decreased appetite. So it actually decreases the appetite, vomiting, constipation, dyspepsia, and abdominal pain. Not good. I mean, not good. Usually when I do something that's healthy, I don't expect to have nausea or diarrhea. Well, you know, these things most of the time. I'll put that caveat in there. These drugs scare me, man. Anyway, I just wanted to put out there, make sure you talk to some intelligent doctors out there. Do your best to stay conscious of what you're doing. Don't run on autopilot. Try to take care of your health. It's one of the things that we need to take seriously in this day and age, considering all of the toxins in our environment and the nasty foods in the stores, right? So I hope y'all are doing well on that front. Half the world is night says, I'll just die, thanks. Sarcastically, obviously. That's hilarious. Thank you all for tuning in. We're going to end it here, and I'll be with you tonight if anything breaks. If there's any breaking news, I'll do a live show like I did the one yesterday, the breaking rhino alert. If you caught that, I appreciate it. If news is breaking and I'm available, I'll go live. It's a good time and I enjoy doing it. So I hope you guys turn on your alerts too, so you know if I do go live that you could catch it if you're not busy and come say hi to me. But if I don't go live tonight, I will certainly be live tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. Pacific time, 11:30 a.m. Eastern time, just to cover more news and events of the day, what's unfolded from here till then and in that morning with the stock market and everything else. So please tune in. And with that, everybody, have a great day. Take care. God bless and Godspeed.
We do a little trolling. It's called We Do a Little Trolling.
...2024 may be the year of a black swan event.
The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.